Hi, my name's Colette Acker. I'm an international board-certified lactation consultant, and welcome to Holy Redeemer's prenatal breastfeeding class. Today's outline includes how often do I feed my baby, how long does the baby need to be there, how many sides. Those questions will be answered so you won't have to ask anybody again. The other thing people are worried about is the baby getting enough milk? We don't have any ounce markings on our breasts. It's a big concern for some women. These are the questions that I always get, and really your baby can tell you the answers. We are mammals, and if you watch any other mammal, let's say the mother cat with 5 kittens, she doesn't call them over to eat. They all come chasing her, meowing, meow, 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 and she lays down and says, go ahead. So we need to follow that too. We need to watch the baby tell us when we need to eat and be available to them. Guess who's the boss now? The baby is. And no matter what you think before the baby's born, you'll see how they take over your home. But they're the ones who are going to determine when the feedings occur, because they're the only ones who know how much they took in, how much was available to them, and when they need it again. So we really need to follow the baby's lead. Now we talk about how many sides the baby wants. So people say, do I do 1? Do I do 2? It's very variable. But bottom line, the milk's like a fancy meal. You have your soup, salad, meat, potatoes, and your cheesecake at the end. You want to let the baby get their cheesecake, then top them off on the second breast. So you latch them onto the first side and allow them to finish. They'll either pop off and give you this thank you very much look, or they'll fall asleep and you'll need to break the suction to take them off. And then you give them a burp and offer side 2. Some of them will take it and some won't. Each mother has a different storage capacity. So if I have a high storage capacity, I can make lots of milk at one sitting. So my baby may feed less often because they take large volumes less times a day. My girlfriend maybe has a small storage capacity and makes smaller amounts. She still makes enough in a 24-hour time period, but her baby has to feed more frequently to get that. So if you're nursing 6-7 times a day and your baby's fine, but your girlfriend's doing 9, don't tell her to cut back, because the baby has to figure this out so they know how much they need. They're doing their job, so don't try to mess with that too much. All right, how do you tell if baby's getting enough? This is a big fear. Like I said earlier, there are no ounce markings on the breast, but here are some things you can look for. In the early days, when the baby is nursing or directly after a feeding, you'll notice some uterine cramping. That's that hormone oxytocin that gets sent to your brain to release milk, also contracts the uterus. So while the baby's feeding, he's helping to get your body back to its normal size, or your uterus back to its normal size. Because of those contractions, you might have more blood flow vaginally, so the lochia will come out. And that is good for your body. It's getting rid of that stuff you don't need anymore. It decreases your risk of postpartum hemorrhage too. So if right during the feeding or right after, you might feel some mild period cramps, and then when you get up after the feeding, you might have more blood flow. Those are good signs in the first couple of days. Then that will start to subside and you look for other things. When your supply increases, at least one breast should feel softer after the feeding. You're also going to look at the baby signals. Babies tell us a lot. When they're hungry, their fists are tight. They're looking for them. They're trying to suck on them. And as they feed, they start to relax. When the baby's full, their hands are very relaxed and their arms. So look for those body signals. We're also going to look for an increase in weight gain. So the baby's going to lose weight initially, and we want them to be back to birth weight by 2 weeks. So that's a good sign. They're getting plenty of milk. We also want to count the wet and poopy diapers, and this is something you can do. And we'll provide you with a log in the hospital that you can track the baby's feedings and their wet and poopy diapers. And bottom line, we know if it's going in correctly, what should be coming out. So with this log, this is what it looks like. You have your 24-hour timeline where you can track the feedings. Every time the baby goes to the breast, you circle the hour closest to the feeding time. I don't care how many sides or how many minutes. If they at least went to one breast and had an active session, count it as a feeding. Then you want to count the wet diapers. Every time they have a wet diaper, you cross off the W. Every time they have a bowel movement, you cross off the BM. You want them to meet or exceed the goals on that log. So if you look on day 1, we have 1 wet and 1 poopy diaper as a minimum requirement. So they don't take in a lot of food like we've been talking about. But if you look at the next page on day 7, the numbers grow quite a bit. So we want to see those changes throughout the first week, and that helps us to know that your baby's well hydrated. But not only do we want the right number of poops, but we want the right color. So on day 1 and day 2, the poops are going to be black and sticky. It's called meconium. And we want to get that stuff out of the baby's body. And did you know your colostrum is a natural laxative that helps the baby get rid of the meconium? So by day 3, we're going to have kind of a brownish, maybe greenish look to the poop. This is a transitional stool. And by day 5, they should be bright yellow. They can have little seeds or curds in them. That's normal too, but it's pretty liquidy. If your baby has dark poops and they're sticky on day 5, that could be a signal that they're not getting enough, and that would warrant a call to your pediatrician and maybe a lactation consultant to see what's going on. But 3 or 4 bright yellow poops by day 5 is a good sign things are going really well. The other thing you want to do is watch the baby feed. It looks different than bottle feeding, and none of us have seen a whole heck of a lot of breastfeeding. So I want you to watch this video, and I want you to watch the baby's jaw. The baby's going to suckle, and then the jaw is going to drop and hold for a few seconds. So it's important to watch that to tell that the baby's actually swallowing.